In this video, I want to move a website from my old StableHost hosting to my new A2 hosting using the Duplicator plugin, which is free. So this is the website, and if I log into the dashboard, the first thing I'll do again is to make sure that the updates are all clear. So the plugins are all updated, themes all updated, and WordPress is all updated. The next thing I need to do is go over to my new hosting and add the domain to my hosting. Now I've already got a main domain for this account, so any new domains I add are added as add-on domains. So I would just go in there and add the add-on domain. And then if I go into File Manager and show you, I've got the new domain added here in my server, and you can see that the domain is empty. There's no WordPress installed or anything else. When you use the Duplicator plugin, you don't install WordPress on the server you're moving to. You leave the server space empty. So let's go back to the dashboard, and we're going to go and have a look for the plugin. So I'm going to go to Plugins, Add New, and search for Duplicator. And this is the one, Duplicator WordPress Migration Plugin by Snap Creek. Let's install. And activate it. Once the plugin is installed, have a look for it over here in the sidebar and just click on Duplicator, and you'll be taken to the packages screen. Now, essentially, to move the database, what happens is the Duplicator plugin will bundle up all of your files and database information into a file, which you then have to upload to your new server. But we need to create those files first. So we're going to click on the Create, and this just checks the system to make sure that there's no problems moving the file with this particular plugin. So I'm going to click on Next. It will look at things like the sizes of the database, any extra files that you've got, and so on. And if it's too big, you may well get a notice like I have here that there is a problem. All right, there's a 9 megabyte file inside there which I could remove if I wanted to. Normally, when you're checking file sizes, if it's below 200, I would say just go ahead and try it anyway. So I'm going to click on Yes and Build, and then sit back while the plugin builds the package. It will build 2 files. It will build an installer.php file, and it will build the file, a zip file that contains all of your data, which then will be unzipped on the new server. Let's just sit back and wait for that to finish. So the Duplicator plugin has now built my package, and it's given me 2 files, installer and the archive zip. You want to download both of those. So I'm going to download that one and then the archive file. You can download them both in a single click if you want to by clicking this button, but I just download them separately. Once they're downloaded, then we can upload them to our new hosting. Okay, that's now completed. So let me go back over to the File Manager, and this is already in the folder where I'm installing this website, and click on the upload. And then I'm going to just select those 2 files. So let me go to the downloads, upload the installer PHP and the zip file. Okay, that has now uploaded to my web server. You can see here in the space where the website's going to be installed, you can see the installer and you can see the zip file. The next step is to change over the DNS that this domain uses so that it will point to the new web space, and then we can install the site. At the moment, the DNS are set to Cloudflare. So what I'll do is I'll add in the DNS for my new web host at A2 hosting. And save that. And then once I've got the site installed and everything's working, I'll take it out of Cloudflare altogether, delete it, and then add it back in again. I found that to be the most convenient method. So I now need to wait about an hour or so until I'm getting an error problem with this domain. And that'll tell me that the domain is then being served from the new web host. Okay, so I left the domain for about half an hour, then I came back and refreshed. I'm now getting this 403 error. That's a good thing because it means that the DNS has switched over and it's now using the DNS 2.2 my new hosting, but we don't have a website installed, so that's what we have to do next. The very first thing I'm going to need to do though is I need to set up a database and a user. So let me show you how to do that. In cPanel, this is my new hosting where I'm moving the domain to. I want to go down to databases and I want to go to MySQL databases. And then I want to create a new database. So I'm going to put a name in for it. And this name will be something related to the website that I'm installing. So let's just say FF118. 18 is just a random number, and the FF stands for Fishy Fats, which is the website. So I can click on Create Database. And what I need to do is make a copy of that. That's the database name. So let's just make a note. Okay, and let's click go back, and then we need to scroll down this screen to get to the bit about creating new users. So let's just scroll down here. There we are, MySQL users, and we need to create a name and a password for the user. So I'm going to put another random digit down there, so that's something that I know what domain it is that it's attached to, and then a random number, and then I'm going to use the password generator. I'm going to copy the password. Let's say I've used it, and I'm going to go over to my pad here, make a note, and the username. Let's just create the user. Okay, and I can copy the username there, add it to my notes. Now the final step here is that we have to give permission for that user to access that database, because this is going to be the user and the database for the website that we're importing. So from the user drop-down box, select the username you just created. From the database drop-down box, select the database that you've just created as well. Click on Add, and then you're taken to the database privileges screen. Click on All Privileges, click on Make Changes, and now we're ready. What we've done is we've created a database. We've created a user who has full permissions to access that database, and then we're going to use that in the Duplicator program so that the Duplicator program has the username, has the password, has the database name, so it knows where to insert the information. So back over here in the web browser, fishyfats.com 403 error, all I'm going to do is I'm going to add /installer.php to the end of it. And that then will load the Duplicator plugin information. So you can see here we've got the archive, we've got the validation where everything passes, and then we have some options there. We don't need to change anything. Let's just close those up so it doesn't look quite as intimidating, and click on I have read, and then click on next. And what's going to happen now is the archives are going to be extracted. So all the files that are in that zip file that we uploaded are going to be put into the correct places. The database is going to be unzipped as well, ready so that that can be inserted into the databases of the new host, depending on the database information that we're going to put in next, because it needs to know where to put that database information. So step 2 page will load. This is install the database. You don't have to change anything up here, but what we do need is we need to insert the information. So we've got the database. Let's insert the database name. We have the database user, and we have the database password. So let's paste those in, and then we can scroll down and we can click the test database button. So let's click on test database, and you can see we've got pass and good. So we just click on next, click on OK, and it's now got update data. This is just going to finish the installation. Click on next, and you can see we've got a results table down here, files notice, database notice, and so on. These are all good, which means that the move has worked well. We've got a little checkbox here, auto delete installer files after login. That just will remove those files that we used to install once we log into the admin for the first time. I suspect there's a problem, and if I go and click on the admin login, I'm expecting to get a not secure. The problem is that my new server hasn't created the SSL certificate properly for this particular site. So what I'm going to do is go into my web host. Here I am, and I'm going to scroll down to the security section, and I want SSL TLS status, and I'm going to search for the new domain. Just search for fishy, and you can see here that an error occurred last time I ran this. Now this will eventually update itself, but the quickest way, I've got here all of the fishy fats related records. I'm going to just highlight them all and say exclude all 9 from AutoSSL, and then I'm going to click include all 9 from AutoSSL, and then I'm going to click the Run AutoSSL button, and that will speed up the process. I can just leave that now, and when this page refreshes, hopefully these certificates will be enabled and they will be working. Okay, it took about 5 minutes, but the page refreshed. I got a notice saying that the page was going to refresh, and on refreshing you can see now the AutoSSL certificates for the domain have been validated. Don't worry about these ones that haven't been validated. They're not actually the URLs for the website itself. If I go back to my login page now, let's just go back and refresh. You can see now we are taken to the login page, and if I log in, you can see here that the installer file ran cleanup. Do you remember we had that little checkbox down here, auto delete installation files, and you can see that we now have the website working and it's on the new server. So there we are. The website has been moved from Sablehost to A2 hosting using the Duplicator plugin.